that feeling happy and uplifted can be just half the battle. The other half the battle is staying that way. In fact, statistically, around 50% of people who experience a depressive episode go on to experience another one. Depression can become a spiral that you don't want to be in for your mental, emotional, and physical health, because depression leaks out and affects so much of your life. I am going to give you 3 ways to align yourself well and help you stop depressive episode relapses. But when you recognize your value and you recognize your purpose and that you're here for a good reason on earth, then it triggers you to do the opposite of being stuck. You gain the ability to move, the ability to change, the ability to do actions that will bring about positive change in your life. Hi, welcome to You Are Unlocked, a place for your holistic health and wellness needs to help you unlock who you're truly meant to be. My name's Yuna and I'm so glad you're here. On this channel, we've been talking about depression in the current series. We've talked about what it is and the steps that you can take to overcome it. But if you've recently experienced depression or have overcome it, you know that feeling happy and uplifted can be just half the battle. The other half the battle is staying that way. In fact, statistically, around 50% of people who experience a depressive episode go on to experience another one. Out of those who experience a second depressive episode, they are 70% more likely to experience a third episode. Out of those who experience a third depressive episode, they are 90% more likely to experience a fourth episode. Showing that depression can become a spiral that you don't want to be in for your mental, emotional, and physical health, because depression leaks out and affects so much of your life. It affects how you show up in your relationships. It makes it hard to connect to your friends, your partner, your colleagues, and even your kids, and how you show up as a parent. It affects how your motivation feels to reach your life goals and your passions for life. It even affects how well you can do your daily routines and take care of your body and your health. So knowing the solution of how to come out of depression and stay out of it is so important. And that's the reason for this content. Yet I can understand why people fall back into depression. Life can be so difficult and overwhelming that it happens. Or if you've experienced multiple depressive episodes, depression can start to become a familiar feeling, making it easier to get back into. But you are worth the time, the effort, and the energy to overcome it. And that is why I am going to give you 3 ways to align yourself well and help you stop depressive episode relapses. These 3 ways are: firstly, engaging with forward-moving momentum emotions. Secondly, reframing past negative experiences. And thirdly, recognizing your innate value. These 3 ways will help you understand and realize your purpose, which will stop you from relapsing into depression. And changing your mindset is hugely important for overcoming depression and staying that way. In fact, it's one of the main interventions prescribed by doctors to help people overcome depression through talk therapy, also called psychotherapy. In one study, 228 randomized trials were analysed, and they found that out of the people who had significantly reduced depressive symptoms, those who did talk therapy were 24% more likely to have reduced depression symptoms than those who had just normal hospital intervention alone. Showing that changing our mindset through things like conversation and talking can be hugely important for helping us stay out of depression. And that's what I'm going to help you with the mindset points that I mentioned earlier. So stay tuned. Firstly, let's talk about the fact that you have a purpose. When people experience depression, a common feeling is that they feel that they have no purpose. They don't know what the point of their life is or the point of the things that they do. The things that they engage in, their relationships, their work, just feels like there's no good reason to it. And that feeling, that sense, those mindsets can create a sense of darkness within, a sense of the lights not being on, because you don't see the light of life. You don't see why you're here and why you're continuing in the things that you do every day, because they feel purposeless. And when they look at other people's lives, it can look like other people have the lights turned on. It can look like other people's relationships just seem to work. Their emotions just seem to make sense. When they go to work, they have a sense of passion and a sense of reason for being there that motivates them to get up in the morning. It can seem like other people's lives just seems to synchronize and flow in a way that has harmony, whereas your life doesn't quite feel the same. Other people, even if they can't see the big picture and they can't glue all of the pieces together to know what their future is going to look like, they still have a sense of peace and a sense of calm, knowing that their life matters and the impact that they have on the world, their relationships, and in their job makes them feel good. Whereas when people are depressed, this same sense doesn't seem to be in them. It can feel dark, it can feel lonely, it can feel cold, because that sense of the lights being on isn't present within them, or the lights being on within them seem dim. Let's keep going with this picture of lights. So when other people look at your life, you may feel like they see things are dark and depressive. Whereas when you look at their life, it's as if their room has light bulbs on. You can see every piece of furniture, every color, every corner in the room, so it's easy for them to navigate through life. Whereas your room doesn't have the light bulb on. Your room is missing the bulb, it's smashed, or the light is really dim, and so it's difficult for you to navigate through life. But instead of looking at life and depression like this picture, let's view that sense of light, that sense of purpose and knowing why you're here as the real light that lights up the world. Not a light bulb, but the sun. You see, the sun doesn't turn off. It doesn't go away or disappear like a light bulb can. Even though day turns into night, summer turns into autumn, which turns into winter, and the days get darker, things feel darker. The sun itself doesn't actually go away. The earth just rotates. In the same way, we can have difficult, painful, hard things happen in our life or the lives of our ancestors, which affect us today and make us feel like the sun has gone away, like life is overwhelming, like life is dark and there's no light. It's understandable why it's difficult and things feel dark within. But just as surely as day turns into night, the earth will rotate again and night will turn into day. Your sun, your light, your purpose hasn't disappeared. You haven't slipped into a place of purposelessness. You do have purpose. You have light. You have a reason for being here. Your earth just may have rotated because of pain, difficulty, trauma, hardship, genetics, illnesses, to a place where you can't recognize that the sun is there. But the sun is there, and your earth just needs to rotate again so that you can experience the light of your purpose and the light of your life once again. And you can do things in your life that turn your night back into day by rotating your world. You can do this by engaging with forward moving momentum emotions. You see, oftentimes when people are depressed and others don't understand, they say, you just need to engage with your daily routines again. You just need to get up and do what you normally do until you feel better. But that isn't the key, because people can get up and do their normal daily routines and still feel depressed. People can get up and exercise and still feel depressed, because the issue isn't doing the actions. The issue is that they don't have a sense of passion and motivation for life anymore. So, engaging with forward-moving momentum emotions can help bring you back into a place of light and life, because they're uplifting. They help you move forward. They make you feel lighter and like your life is progressing. These emotions include hope, forgiveness, and release. If you build up the emotional habit of hope, whether that's through things you read, through things you listen to, through talking to a therapist, or hearing what God has for the direction of your life, you build up a momentum that looks towards a brighter future, and you start heading towards that direction, which will make your days brighter. If you build up the momentum of the emotional habit of forgiveness, you learn how to let heavy, weighty, painful things go. That will keep things from weighing you down as you step forward. It will keep you feeling lighter and build capacity for you to hold your purpose in your bright future. And if you build up the emotional habit of release, of trying things and being able to let them go if they don't go well, persevering even when things don't look perfect, trying and trying again, you'll learn how to develop skills that you will need as you progress into a more elevated, vibrant, and enjoyable future. All of these will help you align better with your purpose, which will keep you from falling back into depression. And your life will start to feel like it makes sense as night turns back into day. Your day will rise, day will dawn as the sun shines on the light of your purpose, and you come to realize it in your awareness. Yet, some people can still struggle with falling back into depression because of how overwhelming past experiences have been. When they remember them, when they remember what happened, what people did to them, what they did to other people, it can be so overwhelming, so triggering, that it pulls them back into a place of relapsing into depression. So the second thing that we're going to talk about is how reframing negative experiences of the past is key to stopping yourself from relapsing into depression. Carrying negative experiences can be like carrying heavy bricks on your back whilst trying to climb uphill on a mountain. What was already a hard task just becomes harder. But you can release yourself from the negative memories that happened by looking for the positives or the lessons learned in past situations. Yet, the tendency for humans to look for the negative, to look for what went wrong amongst a sea of positives, or to be unable to find the lessons learned is actually a common swing in humanity. Let me give you a story as an example. Imagine you're in your bedroom in the morning. Your eyes spring open and glancing over at your alarm clock, you realize that you've woken up 10 minutes before your alarm. A smile peels across your face as you realize that you've earned enough points for a free coffee, that you now have enough time to grab at your favorite coffee shop before you head to work. Walking into work, you think to yourself, today is going to be fantastic. I'm full of energy, the sun is shining, and I just feel good. Your work best friend walks in and tells you that they're paying for dinner tonight, Greek food at 6 p.m. You both smile, knowing that you're going to have a fantastic time chatting over dinner about your latest life updates. Work is a breeze, you head to the dinner and you have a great time with your friends, sharing life updates, laughing at jokes, and just enjoying each other's presence. You can't wait to get home and tell your partner, your family, or your friends all about the fantastic day you've had. But as you leave the restaurant and walk towards your car, you notice something on your car. As you get closer, your once perfect day suddenly crumbles. A bright orange surprise is waiting for you, slap bang in the middle of your windscreen. You hadn't read the parking restrictions correctly, and you, my friend, now have a parking ticket. When you get home, would you tell your friends, your partner, or your family all about the great day you've had and amazing things that happened? Or would your mind and thoughts be clogged up by the parking ticket that you weren't expecting but now have to pay? A lot of people would focus on the second one, the negative. And this is actually quite a common thing in humanity because of the way that we've developed over time. You see, in previous generations, the priority of humanity was survival, keeping away from danger. And those who could spot danger, look for possible negatives, were those who often survived the longest because they could react to danger the quickest. Those who survived the longest then passed on their traits, which was the tendency to look for the negative, to future generations. And they got passed down from generation to generation to the point where it's now ingrained in the genetics of humanity. But this habit, constantly looking for the negative, will stop us from overcoming depressive relapses. Therefore, training our mind to look for the positives or lessons learned will help us overcome depression and keep us in a place that's uplifted. And our minds are powerful. Our minds can actually change the way that they think and that they react scientifically. Scientifically, this is called neuroplasticity. This is when your brain forms new pathways and new ways of thinking, so that old pathways are no longer used and the new pathways are developed, strengthened, and then become a habit. So we can change our minds, our brains, and our pathways from looking at the negative in situations to looking at the positive, to finding the lessons that we learnt even if there were no positives. This will help release heaviness from past situations, release us from being bound by the memories of the past, and lift us above life's challenges in order to move forward and stop us from relapsing into depression. The past has happened, but if we keep dwelling on it and focusing on it with a negative outlook, we'll bring that forward as the energy that we face today with. And if we start today with negative footing, it's hard to walk forward into a positive future. But if we change our mindset and our outlook into one that's more positive, one that's grateful for the things that are going right and the lessons that we're learning, it's actually a vital key to success. In fact, positivity has been shown to make people 3 times more creative, 31% more productive, reduce tiredness symptoms by 23%, increase sales in companies by 37%, make people 40% more likely to get a promotion, and make people 10 times more engaged. That's because positivity triggers reward pathways in your brain. This naturally lowers any stress hormones in your body and stops stress responses, which makes it easier for you to work productively. Even one of the world's biggest video conferencing platforms, Zoom, prioritize gratitude and positivity in their workplace culture and leadership training. Since Zoom has gained so much success in the marketplace, with the current market capitalization of $21.65 billion US, it shows that gratitude and positivity has clearly contributed to their workplace success, which has resulted in worldwide market success. So if you feel yourself way down or finding yourself falling back into depression cycles, what ways can you reframe negative past experiences into realizing the positives that were in it? Or if there were no positives, at least the lessons that you learned. Instead of viewing a past situation as that burned me out and I was completely exhausted as it ruined my life, you could reframe it into, I learned the importance of self-care and setting boundaries for rest. Even if they treated you badly and with disrespect, is there someone that you can be grateful for that treated you well during that negative time in your life? Maybe a teacher, a friend, a colleague, someone you would see on the way to work, maybe at the bus stop who would smile at you every day. Is there someone that you can look at that negative past experience and be grateful for in this current day? Or even if you felt isolated and alone, could you reframe it as, yes, I felt isolated, but I didn't give up. I'm still here and I persevered to make it to today. And as you start to reframe things, as you start to look for positives even amongst a sea of negatives, or look for lessons learned that you can move forward with in the future, you will gain the momentum and ability to rise up and out of that difficult time in your life mentally and move forward into a brighter, more hopeful future, because you can move on. You are meant to move on from difficult past situations, and you will move on. You're moving on from that difficult thing that happened to you by reframing your mindset and seeing the good things that did happen, or if no good things happened, at least the lessons that you learned that you want to take forward with you for a brighter, more hopeful, more vibrant future. You can move on. You're moving on. You're moving on. You can move on into a more bright future. Now, onto the third aspect of overcoming depression relapse. So even if you've done the other 2 points that we've discussed, engaging with forward-moving momentum emotions and reframing past negative experiences to see the positives or the lessons learned, you can still find yourself falling back into depression if you don't have a sense of how valuable you are, stabilized and secure within you. You are valuable. You hold immense value, and that needs to be stabilized within you as you move forward into your hopeful future. Life's difficult situations may have beat you down. They may have affected you to the place where you can't realize and recognize your value and your worth. It makes sense, especially in this day and age. With social media and the internet, it can be very difficult to understand, value, and perceive your own worth. But you are valuable regardless. But on social media and the internet, when we're hearing that you need to do this to be valuable, you need to do that, you need to have this to be valuable, you need to have that, you need to have achieved this to be valuable, it's understandable why you may question your own worth. But regardless, you are valuable. Yes, hard things happened. Things that seemed like they had no purpose. Things that beat you down, wore you down, made it difficult for you to progress. But through it all, your value remains, just like a diamond or gold in the dust. Just because a diamond or gold in the dust is buried underneath the earth doesn't mean that it's any less valuable or it holds no value. It's just that people haven't recognized it or pulled it out yet. It's the same with you. Let's keep going with that picture of a diamond or gold or treasure. When diamonds, gold, or treasures are buried underneath the earth, in the dark, in the darkness, in the dust, it can be hard to find them. It can be difficult to rummage through the outer layers to hit that layer where people see this valuable item and extract it. But when they do find it, when they recognize it, it's amazing. They can then go on to make amazing, beautiful jewelry, go on to see how much it's worth on the marketplace. Some people even get really wealthy from finding such amazing value underneath the earth. But when it was under the earth, it wasn't any less valuable. It didn't hold any less worth. It's just that it hadn't been recognized yet. The same is true for your value and your purpose. You first need to recognize your value, which has been buried under pain maybe. But when you recognize it, it triggers you to do purposeful things with your life. Your life is made for a purpose and you're designed to live out an amazing destiny. And truth is that you can live it out if you develop it and pull it up from the inside of you. But it first needs to be recognized. And that comes by recognizing firstly that you are valuable. So I'm here to tell you, if you've been buried under the weight and the pain of what's happened in life, that hasn't decreased your sense of worth. You just need to pull up what's buried under the dust, and then you're going to be able to direct your life in purposeful ways. The same way that when a diamond is pulled from the dirt, it can then be used to make immaculate jewelry. What does a life of recognizing your value and living out your purpose look like? It looks like becoming intentional about your goals and making intentional actions towards them. Because the thing is with depression, mentally first, it's a state of being stuck. People get stuck mentally in depression, and then it starts to spill out into their physical actions. They then don't have the motivation to get up, reach their goals, or even do their daily life routines. But when you recognize your value and you recognize your purpose and that you're here for a good reason on earth, then it triggers you to do the opposite of being stuck. You gain the ability to move, the ability to change, the ability to do actions that will bring about positive change in your life. Kind of like how a solid turns into a liquid. When something is solid, it's stuck, it's rigid. You can't mold it into a different shape or change the direction that it is or the way that the particles move, because the nature of a solid is rigid and stuck in place. That's like depression. Mentally, physically, emotionally, you're stuck in place and you can't change the way that your life seems to be going. But when you recognize your value and your worth, it's like bringing heat to a solid. Things get more energetic, things get more vibrant. The particles begin to vibrate at a faster frequency, which changes the state that they're in. It will change your life as you start to recognize your value and your worth. You will start to change form from solid to liquid to gas, no longer bound to a specific structure of how your life previously was, but you can now flow and mold into new shapes and new ways that you want to build your life towards. You can go places you hadn't thought of before, do things you hadn't thought of before, achieve greatness you hadn't thought you could before, as you change from depressed mindsets into ones of recognizing your value and your worth. On a practical note, one way to trigger these mental and mindset shifts is actually through physical exercise. You see, when you physically exercise, your muscles, which are stagnant, pretty much stationary and don't move or vibrate that much apart from when you're walking or doing your normal daily tasks, suddenly change into a different state. They go into an energetic state where they vibrate much faster, they move much faster than they were before, they stretch and expand in a way they hadn't before. And that state where your body is under good stress in exercise can trigger your mind to know that, hey, the same way our body is moving, our mindsets can move. The same way our body is changing form, growing and expanding, our mindset can do the same and our life can change. Exercise can be used as a tool to change your mindset. But remember, exercise is just a tool. It's not the remedy to depression and stopping yourself from relapsing into it. It's a tool. The mindset shifts are the actual cure. Shifting your mindsets from low self-value to high self-value, low self-worth to high self-worth, feeling like you have no purpose, to realizing and recognizing your purpose is what we're actually aiming for. Exercise and doing daily life routines can just support you in that process. Don't get the two confused, because often when people think that exercise and actions are the way to stop them from feeling depressed, they may get a rude awakening when it doesn't work. But you can use it as a tool in order to support you with the mindset shifts, which will help move you into a place of stopping relapse. And yes, it may take some work. It may take some time for your depression symptoms to completely resolve, but that doesn't mean that it's not working. It doesn't mean that you're not progressing or you're not moving forward into a place where you're completely free of it. Just the same way that when you go into a shop and then you buy a piece of furniture to be delivered to your house, when it gets to your house, usually it's in a box. It isn't all put together. It comes with a manual and tools that you have to utilize in order to get the desired end product. But just because it comes dismantled doesn't mean it isn't what it says on the tin. It's the same way with your purpose. Just because you have to put some work in, some effort, some trial and error or repetition, doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to fully overcome and be free of depression. Keep going, keep using the right mindset tools, actions, and things that will support your journey in order to become fully free. You are progressing and you are growing. So with all of this, all that we've discussed, from engaging with forward moving momentum emotions, to reframing your past negative experiences to recognize the positives or pull out the lessons learned, to realizing and recognizing your value and your worth and having that stabilize within you. They all help you realize your sense of purpose in life, which will help you take intentional actions and move past depression cycles. This will help elevate you into a brighter future that you definitely want to be in and that you will step into as you make intentional actions to move forward. At the end of the day, somebody needs to make decisions and actions for our life that affect us. We can either choose them for ourselves or we can let somebody else steer the ship. Wouldn't you rather choose the direction that your life goes in rather than letting other people subconsciously choose it for you? You can choose what kind of a job you want with intentional actions of studying and developing your skills. You don't need to let somebody else choose it for you by just taking whatever jobs are going. You can choose the direction of your life by making intentional actions to get better at your passions, and then jobs that you're aligned with will start coming into your life. You can choose through intentional actions what kind of a person your child becomes through intentional parenting. You don't need to let social media or the internet shape the child that is in your household for you. You can engage with them and train them up in the way that you would like them to develop. You can choose through intentional actions what your body feels like and how high your energy levels raise. You don't need to let ultra processed food weigh you down, reduce your motivation, and affect your gut health. You can make healthy eating plans and engage in exercise so that you feel more comfortable in your own skin. You can choose what direction your life goes in and completely overcome depression by living your life on purpose. You are extremely valuable. You're made for a purpose and you're made to elevate and grow. You can change your current day and stop yourself from falling into depression by living on purpose. So live on purpose. If all you can do today is make your bed, then make your bed, but do it on purpose. If all you can do today is shower, then shower, but do it on purpose. If all you can do today is make yourself a meal, then make yourself a meal, but do it on purpose. If all you can do today is go out for a walk, then go out for a walk, but do it on purpose. Even if you're struggling, even if it's weak, even if it's difficult, tell yourself that, hey, I may be struggling, I may feel weak, but I'm struggling with a purpose. I know my days are getting brighter with a purpose. I'm moving forward with a purpose, and what's right now hard, weak, or difficult will become more peaceful. Your relationships will have more depth. Your happiness will expand, and then one day you'll look back and depression will be a thing of the past as you lived on purpose, because the old passed away and the new came as you lived on purpose. And that's it for today, guys, on how to overcome relapsing in depression. Remember who you're truly meant to be is worth becoming. My name's Yuna, and it's been a pleasure to have shared this small portion of your journey with you.